A very, very good morning to everybody present here. On behalf of YI and CII Pune and India at 75, it gives me immense pleasure to extend a very, very warm welcome to our speakers, our special invitees, our delegates, our students, and every single person present in this hall today. As the host chapter, we are extremely excited and enthusiastic about the fact that the series of the India at 75 conclaves has kick-started with Pune. And for that, we thank Mr. Rajan Navani for giving Pune the privilege and the honor of starting this entire series of events. As a country, we tend to get together when we have a gang rape, or we create an uproar when there is a public shooting, or we wake to the call of duty and participate in peace marches when there is a terror attack. But today is not about that. Today is not about highlighting the negative elements of our country, but reinforcing and nurturing the positive powers that our country has, that we have as individuals, to implement the India that we all dream of. And what better power, what greater power than faith in the divine power. So I would like to request all our guests on stage, Ms. Supriya Sule, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, Mr. Navani, Mr. Pradeep Bhargava, Mr. Virendra Gupta, to please light the ceremonial lamp so we can start and begin this auspicious day. I would now like to call upon Ms. Anupama Arya, National YI Chair, who has come all the way from Chandigarh to be with us, to say a few words and give the welcome address.
Thank you, Ritu. Mr. Prakash Javadekar ji, Ms. Supriya Sule, Mr. Gopalakrishnan, Mr. Pradeep Bhargav, Rajan, members of Young Indians from across the country and in Pune, members of CII, friends and colleagues. It's great to be here in Pune, the city known for its dynamic, cosmopolitan outlook, major educational and academic hub. And I'm so glad that the Young Indians Pune chapter took on this unique opportunity of hosting this event here. Well done, guys. As you all know, this is a special year for YI. It's our 10th year of existence, and we want to celebrate this across the country. And as a part of our plan, the Young Indians decided that we will have regional summits all across the country in various parts. We started with the southern region, and it was a wonderful, proud moment for us to have the Southern Region Summit rolled out under the big theme of standing tall, connected values, disconnected youth. It was well attended, and we had luminaries like the executive chairman of Ashok Leyland, Mr. Krishnamachari Shrikant, and others being a part of it. Our next summit was in Calcutta in December. Again, thinkers, social workers, achievers from people like the founder of Super 30, Alok Nanda Roy. A lot of them talk to the young people about their journey and how they overcame great odds to work on change within their areas, to make a different idea come to the forefront and make that work for society. Charging up our young members and making them think about all the possibilities that exist in spite of the challenges we face today in India and internationally. Along the same line, we are here today for the Conclave for India at 75. Our past chairman, Mr. Rajan Navani of Young Indians, as well as the chairman of CI National Committee of India 75, has lent his huge support to us to hold this conclave here in Pune. It's special for us, and as you all know, and you will hear more about it, it's done along with India at 75. YI has the pleasure of listening and interacting with Professor Prahlad on many occasions, guided by his vision of making sure that India stands up to the challenges of the future and builds a strong foundation to take it forward across the challenges that are there today, to bring the youth in the forefront and make them the agents of change. With that in mind, we conceived of this summit, and I'm sure that you will be enjoying the sessions that are going to be there in the afternoon. Our last of the summits is going to be, it's going to end as a national summit in Delhi at the end of February, in 22nd, 23rd, taking the theme forward and making sure that India leads itself into the future on the channelizing the powers of young people. Once again, I want to share with you that YI has impacted close to 5 lakh people through its various initiatives and activities, and the people that here are impacted today are some of the very special ones. I wish to once again congratulate Rajan, Ritu, and the YI Pune team for having brought about a very compelling agenda for the young people and for making this great journey with India at 75 together. My special thank is due to all the YI members who have showed great commitment to this conclave, who worked especially hard, and I'm sure that through you, this message is going to spread to all members across. And for those of you who couldn't make it today, we'll be surely recording this event and making that available to the other YI members. I look forward to the day of great talks, great interactions, wonderful opportunities, and let's together ensure that we as young people take this message through to, as a voice of young Indians, across to other young members globally, and make sure that YI stand of we can, we will is heard by everyone. Thank you very much. I'll now invite Mr. Rajan Navani to address us.
Thanks, Anu. Chris, Supriya, Prakashji, Pradeep, Anupama, Virendra, Arun, Myra, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to have all of you here with us this morning. I know we kind of moved the schedule a little ahead, but it was just so that we can really pack into the day several other aspects that we wanted to cover in a topic which is as vast as nurturing the positive powers of India. I think when we were kind of trying to conceptualize really what should be the message that we would like to convey, with India at 75, which is really a vision about how you can realize the potential of India, and in a time frame which is just a decade away, that's 2022, we felt there was a need to accelerate the pace at which we are doing a lot of positive things in this country. And therefore, if you look at what I'm trying to do is just set the theme for the summit. If you look at the key words in this, I think there are 3 key words. There is positive, there is power, and there is nurture. Of course, it is for India, so all of this actually comes together. CII, YI, all the several stakeholders. We have a couple of young innovative farmers here who have come into this session today, to kind of see how we can collaboratively work to not only shape and define, but actually realize that changed India that we all talk about. So if you really look at, Ritu mentioned that today I think society is coming together very strongly, probably far stronger than it has ever been in the past. Unfortunately, we come together typically on issues which are more negative in nature. It is about time of saying nahi and saying ha. We've discussed in several circles, instead of having an India against corruption, let's look at India for honesty. Let's send out positive messages across the country and actually come together and collaborate on issues and subjects that will make a meaningful change to India. Building a 500 million skilled workforce, which is the primary goal of the mission of India at 75, is one such agenda that brings all stakeholders together. If you look at a political interest, you want to improve livelihood, you look at corporates, we need skilled people, we need a society, it plugs into the aspirations of the people who want a better livelihood for themselves. The idea is really to see how we can positively leverage that in today's context. We talk of powers. So we were trying to figure out what are the different kind of powers that actually exist within India and what is it that we'd like to showcase. As Ritu rightly mentioned, this is just the start of a series of talks and thought leadership groups that we are going to take across India to talk about what are those different powers that we have in India and see how we can take that further. So today's topics really, if you look at, we begin with the power of governance because, unlike China, where very often we talk here when we'll request our politicians and bureaucrats, why don't you visit China and see the change there and come back and, do that here? Well, the dynamics are very different. China has a very strong state, a very weak society. If we look at India, we have a very strong society and we have to be supportive of government to be able to enable that change. They all realize it's not easy to work in a democracy, but really how do we bring about more than good governance, I would say effective governance. And I think for that we all need to collaborate. We're going to explore that power today. We're looking at the power of innovation. Really no country in the history of mankind has actually moved from an underdeveloped status to a developed status, especially a country of over 1 billion people. There is no best practice to make that happen. I think it has to be a next practice. Next practice requires innovation. It also requires the innovation to happen within certain constraints. We have to make that process inclusive. We have to have scale in India. There are several constraints within which we need to innovate. And we're going to explore that, also today. Post that, we really look at how do we bring the power of technology and finance to come together. Technology creates not only better transparency, but creates outreach, is able to communicate far better, and finance is required. We need $1 trillion to invest in infrastructure. We got to get people included into a financial literacy drive. We got to get more people included in the country. We have to see how do we nurture that power for India. Post which we actually are going to look at a session on how can people in India participate to actually make that change happen. So we are talking of participative action. And no better person than Mr. Arun Maira could lead that because he was chairing BCG when we took this whole India at 75 initiative across to people in India to say really what are those aspirations that are required. And I think even if we look at Nehru's talk in 1947 at midnight of 14th August, the Tryst with Destiny talk, it was the people of India actually coming together to realize that change. And I think it's time that we collaborated, we came together, and we see how we can participate and create action together. Philanthropy. I think philanthropy, good intentions, is something that is imbibed in the culture of us in India. We go to a temple and put 10 rupees. We love to give money. We love to have everybody who becomes a part of it. Really, how do we use that power to create impact on the ground? Very often we are not very clear how that can be realized. We're exploring, seeing how that can be nurtured. The demographic dividend that we have in this country is really our youth. How do we nurture the youth, YI organizations? Who are the young change makers? And we're going to showcase some very exceptional people, simple people who have made a large amount of change in India. And of course, we're going to end with a session on creating the power and nurturing the power of fashion and Bollywood. These are big brands that we have within our country. Really, how do we take it? And that brings me to that last point on nurturing. You know, if you look at France as a country, you relate fashion to France. You look at the US, you relate Hollywood to that. Why can't India as a country actually have the same level of global leadership in these areas of fashion, in the areas of Bollywood? And there are so many other subjects that we are not even touching upon. Food. Why should Italian food be the food of choice across the world? Why can't Indian food get there? And really, what will it take to nurture that, to really make sure that India gets onto a global stage? Tourism. I mean, the list is endless. And I think what we are really looking at doing as we go around India is to identify all these powers, get the right people together. Not only will it get a great discussion, but I think it will lead to a very actionable agenda in which everybody has a role to play and participate. And really that is the whole idea, the theme around the summit. You know, while we are going to have a lot of thought leadership dialogue, we are very clear that we want this to translate into an action agenda. So for most of you who would not know, on the sidelines of this event, there are other small discussions that are happening which are going to actually connect the action side to what is being discussed. Mr. Kamath is going to be discussing with the real estate developers of Pune, really how do we create a world-class city? What will it take? What is the innovative financing required to do that? Mr. Maira is going to discuss with the manufacturing groups here, really how do we increase manufacturing? How do we really create a city of urban excellence? So there are a lot of action agendas which we are, you know, kind of requesting all the people who are coming to Pune to engage with this city. It's always a challenge to get everybody to Pune, but I'm so glad that, you know, everybody is here, and I'm truly appreciative of each one of you for having come here today and been here. And I think many of you sitting in this audience are very successful people, and I think we need to now see how we can actually move from success to probably significance. Thank you very much. We are very privileged to have with us here today the President-designate for CII and the Chairman of our India at 75 Apex Council, Chris Gopalakrishnan, Co-Chairman of Infosys. Thank you, Chris, for being here, for keeping the conversation on India at 75 going. He chairs an Apex Council which has, you know, some of the most distinguished people from the country participating in this change that we want to create. Over to Chris to kind of deliver an opening keynote. Thanks.
Thank you, Rajan, and good morning to every one of you. Ms. Supriya Sule, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, Mr. Arun Mehra, Mr. Pradeep Bhargava, Mr. Rajan Navani, Ms. Anupama Arya, Mr. Virendra Gupta, friends. I have just returned from World Economic Forum at Davos. We just concluded a very successful partnership summit, which is the CII's annual Apex event at Agra. At the World Economic Forum, of course, we have delegates from many countries. At the partnership summit, we had delegates from about 30 countries, mostly in this region. And one theme which came out when I met some of these delegates was that there's a very high expectation of India. They want to see India as a positive force on the world stage. In order for India to be a positive force at the world stage, we have to be a strong, powerful nation. We have to have inside our country a confidence that we can be a role model of how development must occur, need to occur, and we need to show that to the rest of the world. If you look at problems that are facing the world today, many of the problems caused by the models that we had in the 20th century, it's clear that those models are no more relevant in the 21st century. Our institutions, which were created in the 20th century, seem inadequate in the 21st century. So, for example, if you look at the financial crisis that we have, national governments trying to regulate an industry that is global. And with technology connecting all of us together, we see that something that is happening in Greece impacts us in India or impacts people in US. It's the same with natural calamities, right? When you look at the impact of climate change, it's flooding in Bangladesh, or right now as we speak, there are severe weather patterns in the US, very cold weather, and simultaneously we are having floods in other parts of the world. Pandemics, even things like cyber security. These are all today global issues and global problems, and require us to strengthen institutions at the global level, look at new forms of governance. In the last 10 years, we have also seen tremendous wealth creation, last 20 years, tremendous wealth creation, but disparity also has increased. Unemployment has increased. Again, it shows that the model that we have used to create that wealth may not be the model to take forward, because it has increased disparity, it has increased unemployment. And this is where the other countries, I believe, are looking at India, because we are a developing nation. We, in some sense, reflect the complexities of the world we are in today. 2 billion people in the world today are considered poor, living in less than $1 a day, not connected to the internet and things like that. And that is also somewhat reflected in India today. So as India develops, we could be a model for the rest of the world. Rajan talked about the demographics that we have in India. Very very clear that this advantage will be with us for the next 20, 30, 40 years. And it's only by coincidence that we have that. It's not by design that a nation is blessed with a young profile that has majority of the population in the productive zone. So this is an opportunity, significant opportunity for us to take advantage of that, and many of you have to step forward and be the agents of change. I'll come back to this a little bit later in my talk, actually. If I look around in the room, if I talk to the people, many of you are doing many things, actually. So in some sense, most of us know what needs to be done. It's very clear, actually. Most of us know what needs to be done. So the question to be answered is, how can we scale this up? How can we leverage youth? How can we make it a tool for change? We seek an India where there is social equity. We seek an India where there is equality of opportunity. There is a clear need to create synergy amongst various agencies and a convergence of the policies to make the delivery expeditious, efficient with transparency and accountability at the grassroots, actually. In some sense, the key word there is accountability at the grassroots, and many of you probably have done pilot projects where you have demonstrated with the same resources, with the same set of people, we are able to get better outcomes and better results just by changing the management model and the accountability that we bring about, actually. We need to, of course, focus on changing mindsets where people can think in terms of community and hence make a more proactive and participative role. Rajan also talked about technology. it's unprecedented in the history of the world, I believe, where so much power is in the hands of an individual. You can upload something onto YouTube today, and before anybody can stop you, millions of people would have downloaded that. That is unprecedented in the history of the world, and we are all grappling actually. As individuals, as businesses, as organizations, as governments, as leaders, we are grappling. What does that mean? And this whole discussion about freedom of expression, where does the balance lie, is actually a discussion that we need to have, because this power is something which we need to now figure out how we will leverage it in a positive way rather than a negative way. Today, as Rajan again said, this is actually being used when something bad happens actually, and people rally around. But can it be used when we want to get some message across in a positive way? Can we use it to change mindsets? Can we use it to rally people around projects that we want to implement, not when we are faced with a crisis, but when we want to make change happen? Entrepreneurship is very important. I firmly believe that we need to convert youth from job seekers, at least some, to job creators. So entrepreneurship is very important, and we need to encourage more and more of our youth to become entrepreneurs. We also need to renew our culture of volunteerism and philanthropy, wherein we understand the power of one and its significance of contributing towards national objectives. Despite our rich culture and heritage, today we are being shown the path by Western nations actually in philanthropy and volunteerism. I think India has in our culture the culture of volunteerism and philanthropy. So how can we create again a new model for the world or a renewed model of the world for volunteerism and philanthropy? I firmly believe that youth today are far more capable and far more aware than their predecessors, thanks to internet and social media. In fact, they're better informed, better connected, they're better communicators, and they have a lot more idealism, at least at this point in their life actually. So we need to channelize that energy in the right direction, and the collective strength will be a force to reckon with. Our youth needs to be more sensitive to the needs of the lesser privileged, so that we can create an India that's more equitable, that connects the urban with the rural, and we can address the whole of India in some way or other. And I've seen actually in the projects that we have undertaken at Infosys, etc., youth would like to engage. Now, India at 75, with its well-defined vision, objectives, have been endeavoring to play the role of an aggregator or a facilitator, besides being the repository of the next practices to catalyze the action that is happening all around and to accentuate the pace of events. Small number of well-intentioned people cannot make change that we seek to achieve. Hence, it becomes prudent on the part of each individual to participate and contribute depending on individual interests and competency. We all need to take a resolve to strengthen the volunteer corps in India, thus create a people's movement of nation building. So India at 75 has launched a campaign. It's called Count Me In. The campaign intends to provide an opportunity for every Indian as an individual, community, corporate organization, etc., to plug in and contribute. It's in some sense like what I think Robert Kennedy, or maybe President Kennedy, actually said, ask not what the nation can do for you, but ask what you can do for the nation. The endeavor here is to encourage people to come forward and participate through various ways for a common cause of nation building. It's not just monetary contribution that Count-Me-In seeks, but commitment of time and passion for a cause. See, when we actually give money, what happens is we actually give spare cash. We don't miss it. But when you volunteer your time, that is time which could have actually been spent with your family, with your children, with your friends. So clearly you're going to miss that time. So I see actually volunteering time for a cause, volunteering your mind, passion for a cause, even higher than volunteering of money actually. So in order to encourage this participation, this volunteerism, we are proposing to have 2nd October as National Volunteer Day. Because we have to make this into a movement, and we also want to show that we are all part of this Count-Me-In campaign. So we are distributing a badge today for everybody to wear. So this is one. So it's not just wearing this. You'll have to go to the website and actually talk about what you are doing really, so that we can collect all the things that everybody is doing and commit to continuing doing that actually. So not just wear this, but please make sure that you log into the website and document what you're doing and continue to do what you are doing. If we are able to collectively come together and through individual actions, through ground up actions, we are able to bring about a change, create new models. I am confident in saying that India will be seen as a leader. India will be seen as an agent of change. India will be seen as a morally responsible leader to the rest of the world. We need the keyword is morally responsible. We need a new kind of leadership in the world stage, and India could be that. We have wherewithal, we have within us to make this happen. So I urge each one of you to participate, be counted, and spread the word. Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much, Chris, for those enriching words. You know, just to mention, you know, when the Count-Me-In badge, and that will be circulated to all of you on 2nd of October this year, I mean in 2012, when we, you know, petitioned to the President of India requesting him to declare a National Volunteering Day, when, you know, all people from India can come together and just say, count us in. It's not about really what activity you do. Interestingly, we had about 55.4 million people that we were able to reach out to, who in some form or the other, including a Street Hawkers Association of India, you know, contributed or participated in some form. You know, the street hawkers, all that they did is they did not use plastic that day. So it is not really about you know, what you do or how you do it. It's just about saying that, you know, I want to participate in changing India in whatever way and whatever form possible. Thank you. You know, now we move into our core session of this morning, which is really nurturing the power of good and effective governance. And for that, we are very privileged to have with us two very distinguished members of parliament, two from two different parties, two of the most prominent parties of this country, you know, in the NDA alliance as well as the UP alliance. And the idea is really to see and share how we can actually create good governance and what will it take for us to really be able to bring about that change. May I request Mr. Prakash Javadekar to kindly address us first.
सुप्रिया सुरे, गोपाल कृष्णन जी, राजन नवानी, अनुपमा आर्या, भार्गव जी, गुप्ता ji, and friends. This is exciting morning today. India at 75. A person at 75 gets older, but country at 75 gets younger. And so, this India 75 badge which I am wearing and you will wear afterwards says that count me in. So yes, we are all participants in the whole national renaissance, whole national development and whole effort to give our country the best it deserves. And that's why I'm very happy to be here amongst you. What is really happening today is people are really yearning, the young India. Gopal Krishnan made one remark that our demographic is becoming younger and it's the advantage. Yes, it is advantage only if we nurture it properly. If we impart skills and make them job worthiness. Otherwise, on one hand, it is a jobless growth what we are witnessing for many years now. And at the same time, if you create unemployable youngsters, it doesn't make into an advantage. So to have an advantageous position, you need results. And so there is an old debate going on in this country whether the poverty eradication route is through entitlements or through empowerment. Because entitlements make you happy today, but empowerment will make you happier always. So what country and the governance needs to do? It has to create job opportunities by its policy decisions, by its laying infrastructure, by producing so many things, and at the same time create people, skilled people, so that they are matched and there is no mismatch. And there are global opportunities also. So I can count on 100 challenges what country today faces. But I'm very sure that today's young India, the aspirational India, wants governance. It is yearning for governance. Or governance may you have put one word, nurturing governance. I will put two words. It is people are yearning for good governance. And it is not only good governance, non-corrupt good governance. That is what people are yearning for. And that is how we have to see and why these people are expecting this and why this is not happening. Last 7-8 years, what we are seeing is complete governance deficit. It's a leadership vacuum. I'm not personal about the Prime Minister, but fact remains that the Prime Minister is in office but not in power. There is a separation of power and seat of power. Sometimes I feel that Manmohan Singh, I have very great respect for the man. But Finance Minister Manmohan Singh was more effective under Narasimha Rao than the Prime Minister Manmohan Singh what we see today. This is not old Congress versus BJP debate. I am not going into that. This is precisely what country is restless about. And why civil societies and all are coming on the street, maybe on the issue of Lokpal, maybe on the issue of cleaner politics, maybe on the issue of various transparency issues, or maybe on the issue of gang rape also. They need action. They need governance. And in that, there are newer and newer movements coming up, and I welcome those movements. They are not, I don't think they are threats to the political establishment. Our country is very, very matured in that way. Nani Palkhiwala used to say, and I always cherish that, that in our country, illiterate intelligence, he used to coin good terminologies, and illiterate intelligence was one of them. So illiterate intelligence is more effective than educated incapacity. Yes, but now what we are seeing is educated incapacity is also going, and they are also becoming active, and they are becoming participative, and they are saying, count me in. That's a good feature. So you have both, and we must go ahead. Now what is happening? There are governance issues right from the family to municipal corporation to any civic body or to the country. The action is happening at state level. Some good action is happening at state level. Some good action is happening at, because I have to be positive, no? So, no. So, and there is good happening in the cities also. We are seeing what is happening in our city of Pune. I love this city, but still I can't say that this is good governed city. But in Visakhapatnam, Vizag, if you go, Times also rated it one of the good governed cities. And I have gone there umpteen times. On 6th also I am going there. And what I find is there is a complete political administrative unity of purpose. And that purpose makes them city free of encroachments, city free of all nuisances which other cities are experiencing, and simultaneously the new Vizag is being created across the hills where they are already creating tremendous infrastructure. Supriya, Vizag is not my state. But anybody who is doing good, I'll say good. Even I used to praise YSR Reddy for his delivery of, let it be the health schemes or the benefit to poor schemes, he was delivering. And people want that delivery. So this is how the face of, I saw in Coimbatore also, you must have read yesterday also, that the garbage dumping ground, which is now not a garbage dumping, has been converted into a beautiful garden. In many cities, I went to Indore, and Indore I saw an environment action plan for the city's environment action plans. People are coming with newer and newer innovations, newer and newer targets for themselves, and they are delivering on those targets. So there can be good governance if you have a sense of purpose in it. And that is what people are wanting. We are saying, now we are debating, the whole nation will be debating about food security for next 2-3 months, because there will be bill probably. Sharad Pawar is the agriculture minister, and he actually opposes the very idea of why doing, but still government is bent upon doing it. Okay. The issue is that Chhattisgarh has shown the way that PDS cannot be always a faulted system. It can be improved. It can be made deliverable. In Madhya Pradesh, which was not a grain storage, only Punjab and Haryana used to be. But last week, Sharad Pawar ji felicitated Madhya Pradesh for becoming the 3rd largest store, or even 2nd to Punjab in wheat production. So states are changing. And that is what is happening in Karnataka, the electronic governance, the power of e-governance. In Madhya Pradesh, I got a review last week, a citizen charter, which is a basic transparency of any administration. That citizen charter, 1 year of citizen charter bill, and we reviewed it, more than 110 million, no, it is 1,000 million, 1 crore. 1 crore complaints आए, 10 million. 10 million complaints आए, 99% delivery in time bound, only 1% officers had to be punished. So the same administration which was not delivering till yesterday, with proper processes in place, with proper legislative framework in place, with proper accountability processes in place, can change and can deliver. So it is not a lost case. Yes, we can. And so here I recollect or can recall Obama that yes, we can. We can change, we can make that change happen, and we can be the part of it. So all over, in Himachal Pradesh, I saw that they got first green credit, carbon credit for their state by putting up their case vehemently and very scientifically to the world community. So things are happening all over. We can change and we can get to do. You will see, you will call me that I have not taken name of Gujarat. Because that I kept for last 5 minutes. At the oath taking ceremony of Narendra Modi Bhai, I went there and there were officers we met. In the leisure time, I talked to the Kheda Tehsil officers. And in Kheda, they were all, I said that I see bureaucrats, officers, clerks and those who are in the government, if any file has to be moved, they say put weight on it. I said the physics actually tells different story. If you put weight, the file doesn't move. But in government offices, paper or file moves, the more weight you put on it. So why this is not happening in Gujarat? Why he is not greedy? Why is the difference? And officers, mind you, all officers, they told their own version, but what I got from the whole conversation was, there is a system in place. There is a design and a complete vision of a work or scheme to be accomplished. Ministers are working as taskmasters. They are guaranteeing bureaucrats complete freedom. They are guaranteeing, most important, they are guaranteeing bureaucrats non-interference from political establishment, but still have accountability and real-time review. So that is making change. So if somebody goes bad, he fears that he'll be punished, he'll be located. And somebody who does good is 100% sure that he will be rewarded and will be appreciated. If you create that passion in, I have seen passionate IS officers working there. Why? Last year, the first 3 IS officers of Maharashtra, from Maharashtra, those who passed IS and came first 3 of Maharashtra's candidates, they were interviewed on ETV and they said, we are opting Gujarat cadre. The interviewer asked why. They said that we are opting because there is freedom of working, आनंद आता है, आज़ादी है और भ्रष्टाचार नहीं है, political interference नहीं है. I think this is all what we all want and this is what we all need. So this is where we should go ahead. And so I added that non-corrupt word to the good governance. There are n number of good governance examples and time delivery, policy and larger good of larger people. There is only one issue there, elections. there is a real debate between Congress and BJP. Atalji did all good public policy things. Gopal Krishnanji was saying that yes, STP is a good thing that happened to IT industry. It was a long-term guarantee. SEZ is not. You have to run from pillar to post. But that is what you place systems in place, policies in place, ensure larger group of larger people without intervention. These are the hallmarks of good governance. And add to that is non-corruption. Because people are fed up with scams and scams. That's a loot, that's plunder, that can be tolerated. And so, that non-corrupt good governance is the catchword of, and I want that to become 2014 slogan also. Non-corrupt good governance, that is what people want. Can anybody think 108 is a wonderful service? Those who are coming from, you have experienced it. At least 12 states have 108 ambulance services. It works fantastic. The Venkat who created it, the Satyam people first helped it and it built it upon its own, and now it's accepted. They people went state to state in the first drive to expand. They got very lukewarm responses in various states. I'm not naming again it will be party things. No. But he went to Narendra Modi. I only asked Narendra Modi ki bhai, he has done something good. I have seen it in Hyderabad and you will appreciate. Please see what it is. He went to Narendra Modi and he gave him appointment, he gave 1 hour, said you give your presentation in 30 minutes. 30 minutes presentation, 15 minutes discussion, then he opened his diary, asked how many days you require to start this operation. He said 6 months. He gave the date after 6 months and said this is the date for inauguration of 108, this is the decision, there will be no difficulty in between, anything happens you call me just. That is the governance what everybody is experiencing. And so in public meetings of 100,000 people also, here is only the one chief minister who says, "Mai khato nathi." Can you imagine somebody saying this? "Mai khato nathi." And lakhs of people responded, "Mai khawano deto nathi." That is Narendra Modi. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash ji. You know, as you would expect, you know, I was asking Supriya and, you know, said, you know, what do I do about the session? Because in terms of timing, and she said, you've invited 2 politicians, now you better bear with that. So, yes, no, I know. So I said, so I'm just going to, you know, request the permission of everybody. We'll extend the session by about 15 minutes. May I request Supriya to kindly address us.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My esteemed colleague, Prakash ji, who's not just my colleague in Parliament, but Prakash ji and me go to the same gym in Delhi. So we are normally morning buddies. So it's nice to see him in Pune also first thing in the morning. Rajan Navani, Mr. Gopal Krishnan, Mr. Pradeep Bhargava, Anupama and friends. It's pleasure being here at this CII Young Indians event today. I must say I was in 2 minds, but since Rajan is a very close friend of my youngest brother, he had a big emotional blackmail and said, you have to come to Pune for this today. And I'm glad I did, because I met my gym buddy here in the morning. And after all that he has said, I love him dearly, but I have to counter him. Eventually, we both run parties. So I'm trying to analyze his entire speech while he was talking. And I thought to myself, I don't think it's about the UP or the NDA. I think the good governance comes from all the bachelors. You see, Narendra Bhai, as he raved and raved about, is a bachelor. Mayawati, you may not have liked her governance, but she's done some good work if you all have been to Uttar Pradesh. She's a bachelor. Mamta, you may not agree with her policies. She's a bachelor. She's never married. Yesterday I saw a very, very nice interview of Jayalalitha on television about banning, and she was so technical. She knew exactly what she was talking about yesterday. She was quoting law in her interview. She's also a single lady. Then I was thinking about Nitish Kumar, now is a bachelor who's performing well in Bihar. So the moral of the story, it doesn't matter whether it... Atalji, there you go. See, so the moral of the story, you've invited two wrong people who don't have a big political future. That's Prakash ji is married and so am I. We are both happily married. So there's going to be no good governance from us. So I think the next generation of politicians should think. My friend Jay Panda, who's going to talk to you, is also happily married. His wife is a very dear friend of mine. But I think you're wasting your time because his boss is also a bachelor. And who's running a very good state. Third time he's won in Orissa. So I think the moral of the story is not UP and India, it's about your marital status. But really on a serious note, I'm really proud about all the success stories. I think the larger picture of India today is that whether it's the UP or the NDA, I think about 70% of our policies is something that we agree on. I mean, I don't think I would shy away from the fact that the three largest programs that the government of India runs today were started by the NDA. To give you an example is about the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which is the largest program government of India started under the leadership of Atal Bihari Vajpayee to take schools to every village today. May not have really converted, there are some small pockets which don't, but he started a program, and today, if most of you must have read the Asar report, that it has shown substantial improvement in the last decade in the education system of India. Talking about healthcare, about 108 he talked about. 108 was, I think, one of the flagship programs which YSR Reddy won his election on. It started, it didn't really matter, it was not about a Congress state or a BJP state. It was a great project which Satyam came up with, and we are very proud that we have managed to implement it in various states. You talk about the midday meal program. It's the largest program in the entire world. Even the World Bank has taken cognizance of it, because to retain children in school, one of the biggest factors was food. And we have seen that it's shown a huge improvement. Again, started by the NDA, we have continued it in the UPA, we have expanded it as well. So there are a lot of commonalities between all of us, and there are a lot of times in Parliament, you'll be pleasantly surprised, you do see Prakash ji arguing vociferously on channels with a lot of people, but when it comes to, I think, issues like national security, when it comes to development programs, very, very seldom you will see extreme views in Parliament. And unfortunately in our fraternity, in India today socially, it has become fashionable to think that everything that wrong that has happened in the country happens because of Prakash ji and my fraternity, and everything right that happens in this country is because of the rest of you. We don't mind it because we have had aberrations, we've had issues, but I can tell you about success stories where the government has produced. So I don't think things are as bad as they are made out to be. Of course, there's always hope. Everybody wants better governance. And after hearing Prakash ji's speech, he was speaking so technical, I thought I was sitting in management school and he was my professor talking about Six Sigma of governance. Because he was talking about words like processes in place and all, and I was really impressed. I said, well, we are going in the right direction. And I'm sure you're all impressed hearing him. So I think really the Parliament of India today, and we all of us who work in Delhi, do want to make a difference. It doesn't